When you get yourself in that kind of debt, you get embarrassed, and to reach out for help is humbling.
Tackling credit card debt is something that we've all dealt with probably, but don't like to talk about so much. Financial experts say now, though, is the time to really focus on it before you start overspending on the holidays and digging yourself into a deeper hole. 3 on News Side Susan Campbell is joining us now to talk about this. Really important.
Americans owe a lot on their credit cards. Collectively across the country, we owe almost $1 trillion on credit cards. For some families, it is a crushing burden every single month when the bills roll in. But there are simple steps you can take right now to start knocking out that debt.
A few years ago, Deborah Wang started doing her own landscaping. It was one of the first changes the mom of 4 made to dig herself out of credit card debt.
When the bill came one month, I thought, oh my gosh, how did I do this?
$20,000 on one card, another $10,000 spread out on others.
And then as the children were getting older, I think keeping up with the Joneses kind of snuck in, and I'm seeing people doing trips or buying the nicer cars or the nicer clothes and getting their hair and nails done. I'm like, well, I want that. And so I started using my credit cards.
Her story is a familiar one. According to a Wallet Hub study, Arizonans have almost $20.5 billion in credit card debt, and the average household credit card debt in the state is nearly $8,500.
People would rather talk about almost anything than money.
Thomas Nitzsche works for Money Management International, a nonprofit credit counseling agency. He says it's important to talk debt if you want to get out of it.
There's likely somebody else in your circle that's going through the exact same thing. But unfortunately, we all sort of put on that facade of everything's fine here, just keep swiping the card, just keep going to brunch.
But it adds up so quickly. So to get out of debt, you first have to know how much money is coming in and how much money is actually going out.
One of the biggest things that surprises folks is that they don't realize how much debt they have until they total it all up.
Then it's time to come up with a plan, create a budget, consider ways to boost your income, and talk with your lender to see if they'll lower your interest rate. That's often MMI's strategy to help clients like Deborah.
Well, the biggest thing is when you're talking about credit card debt specifically is that it's usually a pretty high interest rate. It's usually in the high teens, even 20%. And when the interest gets that high, it makes it very difficult to make progress because most of your payment's going towards interest instead of principal.
But it's not a quick fix. For Deborah, it took about 3 years until her credit card balance reached zero.
I made my final payment this spring.
What did that final payment feel like?
Oh gosh. It was just like this huge weight just lifted off.
If you are in debt, the Federal Trade Commission says it's important to watch out for debt settlement scams. The agency says you should never work with a company that charges fees before it settles your debt or guarantees that your unsecured debts can be paid off for pennies on the dollar.
I mean, what an incredible burden to lift off of her shoulders. She must just feel like entering a new life.
It's absolutely. And she has grown children. She says now I can help them out. And it's just a relief and a joy to be able to do the things that she could never feel comfortable doing before.
Well, and thanks to her for sharing that story, too, because it is an important message. We need to hear it. Thank you.